Hi everybody, how were my first 5 tutorials on the German alphabet? Please do give your reviews in the comment section. Now, having covered the German alphabet in the last 5 tutorials, in this tutorial I'm now starting the basics of German conversation. So to begin with any conversation in any language, we need to greet each other first of all. A greeting in German is called Begrüßung, and greetings are Begrüßungen. And we usually greet one another either casually or informally, as we call it. Alternatively, we can also greet each other in a formal way. Now, even if in English it's not as important whether we greet somebody formally or informally, but the type of greeting in German is very important. So we must consider in the German language whether we are greeting family members, friends, or anyone we know well, office colleagues of the same or lower status, and in all these cases, we will use the informal way of greeting by just saying hello, which means hello in English. However, if we are greeting complete strangers, anyone elderly, somebody we have met just once or twice, and even office colleagues of higher status, then in German we will use the word guten, and to it we will add the time of the day. So, guten Morgen for good morning, guten Vormittag for pre-noon, guten Tag for the day, guten Nachmittag for a good afternoon, guten Abend for good evening, and the German time of the day is such that the mornings will be considered from around 6 o'clock till 10 o'clock. The pre-noons that we don't usually consider in English language, but we do have the word Vormittag for it in German. This is around 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Then the Tag is the time of the day between 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock. And afternoon is the time of day between 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock. Evening is between 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock. And these timings are what Germans consider as the morning and the pre-noon, the day, afternoon, and the evening. So moving on, we will now consider the farewell, which is Verabschiedung in German, and Verabschiedungen, which is farewells. in plural. And Verabschiedungen can have the following expressions in the German language: Gute Nacht, which is good night, and you would use Gute Nacht as a form of farewell and not a greeting. Then we can have goodbye in informal way and a formal way. So again, the informal and formal ways depend on the type of people you're conversing with, which, as I mentioned in previous slides, basically two categories. So informally, you would say bye by saying tschüss. And formally, you will say goodbye either through Auf Wiedersehen or Auf Wiederhören. Wiedersehen means to see again, and Wiederhören means to hear or to listen again. So these words automatically imply the meanings that we will see each other again or we will hear from each other again. So therefore, you must note that you will say bye in a formal way as Auf Wiedersehen when you say goodbye face to face, and you will say bye formally as Auf Wiederhören when you say bye to somebody on the phone. We also have expressions like see you soon and see you later in English. See you soon is bis bald in German, where bald refers to soon, and see you later is bis dann or bis später, where dann and später both mean later. Let's now move on to the personal pronouns in German language. Just as with the greetings and farewells in German, the personal pronouns will also have the informal and formal versions, especially for the second person singular forms. So to begin with, we have I, which is ich, and note that in German, any word that ends with the ch has the sh sound. So it's not ich, it is ish. Then we have second person singular informal, which is du. So a friend talking to another friend, and they will use du for each other. Then we have the second person singular you formal, which is the word Sie with a capital S in German language. The you formal is any person talking to a stranger or someone you have met for once or twice, and someone who's older than you and somebody who's also higher in the rank at your workplace. He, she, and it are er, sie, and es. We have the word Z coming again for she, but this Z is written with a small s. All of you here means that I as a person am talking with two or more people, or I could be talking with two or more pets of mine. For example, if I own two cats, then I could be talking to those cats and referring to them as ear. So it's not only for people but also in the sense of animals and pets particularly. Then we have we, which is wir, and we have they, which is again Z in German, written with a small s. So, as you can see from this table, there are three Z's. So, how do we know which Z we are referring to? Isn't that confusing? Well, let me now show you with examples from a new class introduction. So, for example, we have the case of the second person singular formal Z. So in a new class, we have the students asking the new teacher, Sind Sie Frau Schneider? And the teacher would be answering, Ja, ich bin Frau Schneider. So please note that in this example, the teacher is being addressed to respectively by the students, and therefore we have the case of the formal Z here. Then an example of third person singular Z, which is the she in English. So Frau Schneider asks the students, Wer ist Anna? And the students pointing to Anna could be replying as, Sie ist Anna. So here Z refers to she, and it is clear that it is one person they are referring to. Then the example of the third person plural Z, which is they in English. Imagine that another teacher enters into this class by the name of Frau Müller, and she asks Frau Schneider, Sind Sie gut? And here Sie refers to the students, to which Frau Schneider can answer something like keine Ahnung, which means no idea. And we know that in a new class that has just begun, a teacher cannot really judge the students yet. So she says something like no idea. So I hope that these three examples clearly show the difference between the three Z's that we have as the German personal pronouns. So moving on. You need to first know that German verbs can have some categories. And I will cover only 2 or 3 of these categories to begin with. So the first category is that of an irregular verb, sein, which is to be in English. Now it is called irregular only because of its conjugation, as you can see from this table. that this verb is conjugated irregularly. It is sein, but it has different conjugations for the different personal pronouns. So I am is ich bin, you are, informal would be du bist, but for formal it would be sie sind. He, she, it, the form of the verb remains the same and it is ist. Er, sie, es, ist. All of you are is again totally differently conjugated as seid. Ihr seid. We are, wir sind, and they are, sie sind. Note that even though the formal you is a singular person, but the form of the verb here is conjugated just like the verb is conjugated for wir and just like the verb is conjugated for sie. Going further, let's now look at a regular verb, heißen, which means to be called, and to be called only in the sense of what's your name and not in the other sense of calling somebody on the phone. So, heißen is ich heiße for I am called, du heißt for you are called informal, sie heißen for the formal version, he, she, it is called, that is heißt, so er, sie, es heißt, and the form of heißen is the same for er, sie, es. All of you are called is ihr heißt, and then we have we are called, wir heißen, and they are called, sie heißen. So again, please note that for the formal you case, the form of the verb heißen is conjugated just as it is conjugated for we are called, wir heißen, and they are called, sie heißen. So, based on the conjugation of one irregular verb sein and this regular verb heißen, we need to note that whenever these personal pronouns come in sentences or questions, then we can distinguish between the different German personal pronouns based on the subject, of course, but also on the form in which the verb has been conjugated. And we must also remember that even though the you formal form is written as Z with a capital S, but the verb that comes, whether it's a regular verb or an irregular verb, the form of the verb would be just like the plural personal pronoun forms, or we can say just like its infinitive form. It will be conjugated just like its infinitive form. So that was all for today. Do stay updated for part 2 of this tutorial. Thank you.